Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. True story, greatest podcast in the world. And this is the truth, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, man, we got a special one for you guys, and we're about to get into it right fucking now.
Break it down like this.
And I was like, really? Like, baby face? And the heels were going over. Dude, I thought he broke his neck.
The greatest podcast in the world. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. True story, greatest podcast in the world. And I am here with one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I know that I say that about every guest that I have on, but this time I actually mean it. The one and only Brady Booker, aka formerly known as Bodie Hayward. Welcome to True.
Thank you, Brody. I'm fired up. That energy that you came in with, that little song, got me bapping around. I'm ready to rock.
Bro, that song just gets it going straight off the bat.
I felt like I had swag for a second, dog. I was moving my shoulders, you know?
Bro, when I first started using that song as an intro, it's like my wife walked past like my studio and she was like, see me in there, just like bopping her head.
I felt like I was on a GTA mission, just cruising.
Yeah, bro. No, it's crazy, man. That's a sick track, man. It's an important thing to have, man. Like that was what I was looking for. I was like, yeah, that sort of sets the vibe as like a nice, chill, shit's about to pop off. You know,
I'll say the track pulls you in, but dog, your energy, the word to word, you know, excitement you give, that's you. That's you. You pull them in with the song, you're the man. The bald head, the beard, and the dad bod. Get after him.
Yeah,
I love it.
You got to work the gimmick, brother.
Oh, dude, I'm fired up. I want a club.
That's it, man. But dude, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate you giving your time up to come and talk some shit, talk some facts, and spit some truth. But man, like it was interesting. I was sort of like looking back a little bit about you, man. I see that you were actually trained by badass Billy Gunn. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. That's actually so. When I got into the business, it was a shot in the dark luck thing. You know, I was playing Division I football, had league dreams there. Actually had 2 years eligibility left, and COVID hit. So we're sitting there with my buddies. We had our whole coaching staff change. I was on the defensive side of the ball. You know, just like I like to do in the pro wrestling ring on the football field, I like to take people's heads off because that's the only place you're not going to get arrested for it, and people are going to slap your hand like it's a good job. I love it. But hey, things were going a little sideways. Like I said, new coaching staff came in. They canceled the season for COVID. We're all shooting shit, playing poker one night, talking about, hey, what are we going to do, you know, when college ends, talking about if the league doesn't work out. And, you know, people are talking jobs. My thought was to be pre-law, you know, so I was pre-law, double major. I ended up getting 3 degrees. I got a master's and a double major, business administration, pre-law, and a master's in kinesiology and exercise science. That was one thing I always tried to do. You know, although I'm Brody, I had fun. I try to make the most out of my opportunities, and, you know, getting a full ride scholarship, I couldn't pay for college. So I'm like, I'm going to get as much school in as I can before I leave here. So I finished up my master's actually in time that night. You know, we come home from poker. We had a little fun. Your boy won, feeling luck is up. I just got done talking about, like, what am I going to go to law school, get a comb over, say, hello, sir, no more Brody? Can you imagine? But yeah, I Googled WWE application. I always watched Monday Night Football and Monday Night Raw with my pops and my brother down in the basement, man. That was part of my growing up, you know, that's a part of me. And the emotion and the drama and the excitement and the hard hitting that wrestling brought, you know, I was always that kid. I was the kid who had to be sent home sometimes when we were 8 and 9 because I play a little rough. You know, I didn't know. I was having fun. I'm excitable. But yeah, Googled WWE application, filled it out, put some football plays, some pictures, my combine numbers, which were always good. Unfortunately, with the football setting, I've had plenty of surgeries, 7 to be exact. I've rebuilt myself plenty of times, so that doesn't look as good, you know, when you're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar business like football, where if you're out, you know, you're not helping the team. But with pro wrestling, you know, you look at football, it's chaos. Pro wrestling's controlled chaos. So I've got a lot better chance of, staying healthy. And yeah, went down, got a call back in an email, thought it was fake, followed it up. It was real. Went down to this tryout. It was their first one of COVID. The guys who made it out of my tryout were Drew Casper, Brutus Creed. I'll just go by their, work names. Trick Williams, Braun Breaker, Brooks Jensen, and Tony D'Angelo. And I'd say, all those guys are pretty much pillars of, the NXT brand and now making their way to the main roster brand. So it was cool to be a part of a group like that and earn it in a group like that. The first time I ever stepped in a ring was at my WWE tryout. Dude, I didn't even know what they were made of. I didn't know indies existed. I watched Monday Night Raws, Friday Night SmackDown, with my pops and stuff. I was a fan, don't get me wrong. Pops even had the figures, and we would do the Hogan, poses. But that Pops was a 1980s guy, hard-hitting football, all that type of stuff. That's the mentality that grew me up, so I was interested in similar things. But I wasn't in deep on wrestling. So I didn't know how much was real, fake. I used to wrestle growing up. I've always been one to get physical, but I didn't know the moves, names of moves. And yeah, so I was way behind on the 8 ball there. First bump I ever took was in my tryout. The tryout went like this. I gave my absolute greatest effort I could, and I've always been a good effort guy. I can put the pedal to the floor. And that was the first day we were just giving effort, doing drills and whatnot. The second day, started with a promo. As you can tell, I'm a little bit of a chatty Cathy. I like to get excited and talk. But I had no idea. I watched a little Dolph Ziggler video, getting on the plane and going down to Florida for the tryout. And it just talked about using emotion, speaking from the heart. So I just kind of told a little life story, of overcoming these injuries and making it to Division I, full scholarship type stuff. And spoke from the heart, and then busted my ass again in the conditioning drill. I think by no one's thought, won that, and ended up getting myself a contract. They called me that Monday, got a contract. I then decided, instead of transferring from the school I was at, because I had already, went to a junior college, I transferred before. I didn't want to keep jumping around. I wanted a home, man. I was still a kid at the time, 20, 21, 22 years old, still looking for my meaning. And I chose the WWE. They reached out a hand. They helped me out. So I ended up graduating from my master's degree because I got my double major early, and then went down to Orlando and was there for about 18 months, worked my ass off, and that was that. I think I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but once you get caught on a story, dog, you know how it goes. Yeah. So that's how I got to WWE and got into wrestling. Oh, Billy Gunn, you brought up. My apologies. So that's now. So thank God, when this all kind of went down, had it worked my ass off 18 months. You guys saw, what I put together. But once again, I was behind on the 8 ball, knowing what to do, and I only knew what people were going to tell me. And if you know the wrestling business, maybe not everybody wants to tell a guy like me that looks like me with this much excitement and fun and can also flip a switch. Why would you want to give me the keys to the castle when you're trying to get them yourself? I get it. I get it. And that's something I had to learn on my own. I came into the locker room thinking it was, I was still in a football locker room. I wasn't. And that's fine. That's fine, Brody. Just let me know the rules. Because unfortunately, although I like to have fun and people might go, oh, he's brainless, blonde, idiot. He's all brawn, no brains. Oh, brother. Okay. I just tell me the rules of the game and I'm going to dog walk you 3 times over before you even know. But fine, whatever. Thank God for Billy and QT Marshall. I actually got involved with QT Marshall first. I wouldn't even know Billy Gunn if it wasn't for him. When I got done with WWE, I knew nobody, knew nothing. I had no connection. I was on TV. I thought it was going to be my life, and then it disappeared out of nowhere on a 35-second phone call. And I was emotionally invested as well, which was probably a mistake, once I saw how business it really was. Like I said, it wasn't a team sport, and that's what I thought it was. And I was caught at a time where I was a little bit vulnerable, and I really bought in. Yeah. So I needed to recover from that, and that's what I did. I went out to Fort Dodge, Iowa. That's where I went to junior college. Fort Dodge is known for its high-class Division I junior college football, track and field, and wrestling. They have a world-class wrestling by guys by the name of John Jones, Cain Velasquez, Colby Covington, Pat Downey. Those guys went out there. So I played football out there before going to the University of South Dakota. And I was like, I had a buddy that lived out there. I'm like, man, I just want to get away from the world. I had a strength coach out there who had his own gym. I just want to train. I just want to prove to myself I am the guy who I say I am. And that's exactly what I did. I went out there. I trained my butt off with those hungry dogs at Iowa Central, with their wrestling team, with my strength coach, and even did some kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, matches and tournaments on the way there. That was a blast. So once we did that, I got in contact with QT, found a place down here, and started training at the Nightmare Factory. Well, starting to train at the Nightmare Factory, Billy's a coach, QT's a coach, and Luke Sampson. Those three guys in a matter of 3 months, and I'm not trying to dog on anybody, in a matter of 3 months taught me more wrestling than I'd ever learned in the past 18 months.
Wow.
And that was after a 6-month break where I even got more rusty. I did 2 AEW darks that I definitely wasn't mentally ready for, and I probably wasn't physically ready for, because I was shoot fighting. You know what I mean? I'm not bouncing off the ropes, doing all that stuff. I could have beat Buddy up in 36 seconds in the middle of the ring, but I wasn't working on the movements and that full range of motion that you need to be doing.
Did you feel, because you mentioned the wrestling locker room was not like the football locker room. Did you feel going in there that you had heat being an athlete coming in, not being an independent wrestler, not being a worker coming into the business? Like, what was the overall feeling for you?
Brody, I was okay, so first of all, I didn't even know what heat was. I thought it was when Buddy threw a fucking 99 plus fastball. So I found out what that word meant quick. See, dog, I just got to know the rules of the game. I had no idea. Anyways, I was a heat-seeking missile. Are you kidding me? I had no connection. I would tell people my story. People probably hate me. I Googled WWE. Now I did watch it and I was a fan, but there are probably huge fans and dreamers way more than me. Yes, my first dream was football. I couldn't throw a pro wrestling ring, for my high school. It just wasn't, in my thought. But anyways, I got lost. One more time, Brody.
Getting heat when coming.
Yeah, no, I was a heat-seeking missile probably, because every reason, just looking at me, people probably hated me, and I didn't know that, and I was so friendly. I don't know if people took that as another. Yeah, I mean, I probably had heat for reasons I don't even know exist, and there's so many reasons that people pick people apart and stuff like that. All I ever tried to do was do good unto others, and they'll do good unto you. I've tried to stick with that my whole life. Every time I haven't stuck with it, it usually doesn't work out for you. You know what I mean? So I just tried to mind my own, do my best, be nice to everybody around me, gain as much knowledge as possible. The guys I'd say in the locker room that I got close to, was Mr. Chase and some of the older heads, just because there wasn't as much as they think they need to compete with me. It's just how much are they going to tell me now? You know what I mean? Because they've been in the game. Aussie boy Duke, he was a great dude to me. Unfortunately, I think he filled in for me. I see he's rocking a headband now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Maybe Bodie was onto a couple of things, but hey, Bodie's dead. Brady Booker's here. He's probably 20 pounds heavier than Bodie, just as lean, and I'd say twice as much as athletic and 100 times better wrestler. But the locker room is definitely something you need to go in there and take care of yourself, and then deal with everything else. And leave your emotions at the door every day, of course.
How would you describe the NXT locker room?
I think it's a bunch of dudes that are just trying to be great. You know what I mean? And they're willing to do whatever it takes. And that's from busting their butt to catching you anytime you slip up. So, I mean, if that's the game, you just got to look out for yourself. And then when job's called upon, you take care of the work. We do good work, we do good business and all that nonsense. Sure. But it's not we're the same thing, so we look out for each other. It's we're the same thing. How can I be better than you? And I get it. It's a single man business. I've played team sports my entire life. I thought, teams win. I thought of WWE maybe more as a team, which I guess you could say it that way. But there's definitely a distinction between players, and that's up to the player to make that happen.
what was the biggest shock to you going into professional wrestling from like
Okay, there we go. When you compare it to football like that, the thing I always thought about in football, your most cerebral players on the field is your defensive leader and your offensive leader. That's when you're looking at your Mike linebacker and you're looking at your quarterback. And the stuff that those guys got to break down every play and then worry about other guys being in positions every play, doing a certain thing so that they can react, and basically your quality control of 10 other guys, and that's insane. Wrestling, your quality control over the house. You know what I mean? So let's say you got 500 people. You got 10,000 people. You got to make sure Buddy up in the top row knows exactly what the hell's going on the entire time you're in there. Not only do you have to make sure that Buddy on the top row of the show's knows what's going on, the guy in the ring, everybody else around, you're thinking of his spots, my spots. How can I be entertaining? If he's going to be entertaining, how can I entertain off of his entertainment and make sure that the guy in the thousandth row sees me? So those are the cerebral game of wrestling. Heel being the tougher half, I'd even say, but babyface or heel, I think topped football. Because football, don't get me wrong, it's high level, athletic, and there's freaks out there playing. But,
Yeah.
I go to my defensive coordinator when he talks about, I need to make this game as simple as possible for my guy who has a 2.2 GPA who barely goes to class. I'm going to give him 2 reads. I think about my reads as an outside linebacker that, the tackle taking his step, the tight end taking his blocking step, all these steps. I'm watching for 1, 2 things. Then I'm reacting on the fly, which wrestling is a lot of reacting on the fly, but there's reasons for everything. And you can't just do what you feel. You have to do what's right. So there's so many more rules and so many, one thing I always try to do, because in football, I'd always want to be prepared. I always have plans. This is just me in general in life. I always have a plan, but I've always got something in the back of my head like, hey, if the league doesn't work out, I'd love to, use my body and see the WWE. There's always stuff I'm thinking about. And I always think like, oh, if this goes wrong in the ring, can I just do this? Sometimes. Everything's a sometimes. There's no set in stone thing that can happen because there's just a million different reasons. You always are thinking in wrestling. The cerebral game behind wrestling is absurd because of the amount of cerebral and physical you do. I mean, it takes a lot. And to be super good at it and to be a guy like Billy Gunn, who I've just, not gotten to because I just keep talking, golly. The way he can talk about wrestling, I mean, he does this little thing, I call it like his PTSD or CTE. He'll start thinking of spots and like moving his hands around like he's fucking making imaginary pizza dough or something. And then he'll say something that like, oh my God, I've never even thought of wrestling that way. And he'll either break it down into a way that it just is so simple so I can absorb it, or just a new opening of like, oh my God, I've never thought of it that way. So it just shows that like, no matter how good you think you are, that 25-year-old guy is never going to be as good as that 45-year-old guy because experience pays, period.
100%.
And that's why my whole life, I have a Hall of Fame, high school Hall of Fame, but coach and my dad, and I love him to death. But, with what lives we've lived now, I've probably experienced more. If I still need to call someone and know what I'm doing, just like in sports and whatnot, I call him just because experience pays, Brody. You know what I mean? It just.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
For real. It definitely does, man. Like with NXT, like when you like got signed there, like what was the whole like process for you guys down there? Was it like, right, Monday to Friday, you have to be here at 8 a.m. until p.m. and you're going to do this? Like, is it like, I'd imagine, is it very structured?
Yeah, there's a set schedule. I'd compare it a lot to like athletics. You got your gym time. You've got your, there's a certain allotted time to where you can go to like PT, strength coach. Everybody who comes in, and they'll split you up as time goes on. I'm not 100% sure. It's probably skill level or what they're looking for.
Yeah.
I can't say that the coaching process is the same for everybody, but but for me, you started in like this startup class. Then they moved you along. To be quite frank and honest, I got on the TV because I big personality. I could be entertaining and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The wrestling part, I was gagging in gorilla every time, but I loved it. That type of stuff, I gagged before kickoff and headbutt my helmet. My heart racing is the only reason I do this. But like I said, just because a lot of those times I'd learn moves on those days, and it was kind of by our bootstraps and stuff because NXT 2.0 was starting, and they did a great job just even getting me in there to do the moves, so not coming at anybody, but like the classes was a general overlook that I think they went over, like this is what we're going to do this week. And then they'd run it by like the head coach and have a meeting over it and then do it. But sometimes people would jump from class to class, and you don't know the reason or what it was, or they called different classes, certain classes where you like learn different stuff. But after a couple of classes, it was like the tag class. You had Norman Smiley, who was like close grappling. Robbie Brookside, who you do a lot of the emotion and learning what wrestling is, I guess. Terry Taylor, the in-betweens, he would teach you how to be, basically how to be a star. Like I'm going to do this move and then I have to present. I have to entertain. He's teaching people how to entertain and stuff like that. So Steve Carino is the tag coach. Those were all, different classes. They also had like subsection classes. But like I remember like I came in, on an off day, and then we had like four of us, and that was Coach Steele came. Coach Steele was there for that class. I had Coach Kendrick. Coaching, it was fluid. There were a lot of coaches there for a time. I'd say I spent most of my time there, and it was from the time that I switched to the end. I was in Terry Taylor's class, and then I got moved over to Steve Carino's class, and then I was there in the tag class till the end. And Steve Carino, I mean, I'd say, that's who I called and was like, "Should I keep doing this?" When I got done, I thought I was done. Like I said, I didn't know really where to go, and I called him and I was like, "Hey man, do you think this is worth, giving it a shot?" He was a successful guy and he was always straight up with me. That's something really, really hard in the game. I mean, being involved in the game, and sometimes people just don't want to be the bad guy. So I get it, but like, speaking of my father earlier on, I need criticism. I need honest criticism so I can get better. Talking about like when I started pro wrestling, yes, I watched it, but I didn't watch it like I was going to do it. So I didn't think like I'm doing what I saw on TV. I was just like doing it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that type of stuff. I just kind of lost my train of thought there.
Where Steve Carino, you went to
yeah. So I called him and he helped me out and told me the Nightmare Factory because I didn't know a school. I knew I was from the Midwest. Black and Brave was up that way. I know Frazier went there, because when he came to the U.S., he was part of Chase U to get started. But he said something about like, I don't know, it's a closed school. So I didn't even want to mess with that. And Steve told me the Nightmare Factory, and I was like, okay, sweet. What's it take to get into that? And that's how I got a hold of QT, allowed me to come in. I've been training there. We do a Monday and Thursday night class. We also have the camp that goes on. I go in there. I even went in for the camp, just to make sure I learned moves there that I never learned at WWE. I mean,
do you think WWE put you on TV too soon?
No, because that's what was needed at the time, and I pitched for it. Me and Chase pitched for it. But was I ready theoretically now that I know the business more?
Yeah.
No. Or was I good enough wrestling wise to be at WWE NXT? No. I got lucky, Brody. I Googled it, and then I was entertaining enough, and I worked my ass off hard enough to keep my head above water. Well, once my people got fired, something happened where I guess they lost, what's the word? They lost, I don't want to say trust. They didn't believe in me. They didn't think I could be the guy, or these new guys thought they had other guys. But I think there's a lot of people at WWE NXT now that I know wrestling better that aren't good enough to be there. I think there's a lot of people in pro wrestling in general that aren't good enough to even be doing it. But that's the game that we play, and it's all about, who believes in you at that time and why they believe in you. So I'm just going to keep putting my nose to the grindstone. And that's one thing I did. You know, I came down here and I said I was going to work. And that's one thing I've always known how to do because it's been instilled in my head since I was a child that if you want good, you got to put good work in. And the better work you put, the better it'll be. And like I said, we got a Monday night class, a Thursday night class. We got Coach Billy, Coach QT, Coach Luke Sampson. Then we've got the camp, which goes on every 12 weeks. Then there's a 2-week break, and we have another camp come in. I started, working in the camp a little bit to refresh when I was first down here. Now I'm helping out with the camp. I'm leading the campers. I mean, the amount of, and I'm still learning, I'm not coaching class, don't get me wrong, but I can help out and give a pointer or two and understanding where I couldn't have did that for shit, Brody, and it feels so good to finally feel confident and understand the game and know where to go. And I owe that all to QT Marshall, Billy Gunn, and Luke Sampson, because without those dudes, I was just a energetic, ex-football player just looking for somewhere to fit in, man. And that's hard. That's hard when you don't want to conform to the 9 to 5, the yes sir, no sir, keep it cool. I want to rock to my drum, Brody, and I think I do it good enough to where we all will want to. And I don't mean that confrontational, I'm not. Yeah.
How did you because you mentioned when management changed, so you were there when Triple H had his health scare, Vince came,
yep.
Boys came in. So what was the transition period like that? Because it was like when NXT 2.0 came over, it was almost like a complete facelift and rebrand. Titles changed the look, the complete brand product change. What was the feeling backstage, and what was the sort of transition process like?
Realistically, Brody, and I'm gonna tell you the God honest truth. Backstage, it was opportunity city for us new young guys, because that's what they were pushing. They put the colors. They got Braun, who was there 6 months prior to me, but he was in my tryout and whatnot. He was getting title shots and whatnot. Now he's pro wrestling royalty by the last name. So I don't want to compare, but it just showed how, we can get involved, and all these younger guys were getting onto TV. And I mean, hell, I even found my way on there. I was out in the stands for 3 months just rooting on Chase U with that flag. So, by the time that 3 months was over, Brody, I was getting them doing the wave, hooting and hollering and stuff. So I think that had a lot to just allowing me to do that, because I tried to make myself a part of the show out in the crowd, But that's what it was. And then I think for the older heads, which looking back now that I understand the game more and what goes into it and all the effort behind it, granted, it wasn't working up to that point, or I guess it wasn't. The business decided to change, so you got to change with the business. But it does suck to be as good as they are, and to have these young guys come in and they're going to get opportunities just like you. But I guess that's the lay of the business. That's where everybody gets touchy is when it comes to who gets an opportunity and who doesn't. But other than that, it should usually be, it's just a bunch of cool, good looking athletic people hanging out, and it should be good camaraderie. We should all be taking care of each other. But then once you start talking opportunities, and opportunities lead to dough and fame, that's when people change up on you.
Oh, 100%, and I think that even if you look back over the history of the business, where it's seen as and I spoke about this on a podcast recently, it's like, you think Hogan, Rock, Steve Austin, all those guys don't have a fucking list of fucking bodies buried on their way to the fucking top, bro, that they fucking 9 people down during their fucking, it's the nature of the business, and to be success. And I had Homicide on here recently, and we're talking about it being that in order to be successful in wrestling, you have to have a certain level of continue to be, you know what I mean? Definitely continue to be successful, and that's entertainment, really.
Or just a level of I don't care, you know what I mean? Because I feel like I've had to. I can't get cunt, as you Aussies would say, because I'm a little big and sometimes I get a little intense and I might scare somebody. See that guy? He comes out, but so I just got to go with the I don't care until we're in the ring. Then we'll work. I only get paid to work. I'll roll with that one and keep it cool.
Yeah, 100%. Did you? Because we were talking about the whole wrestling heat thing, right? So once you got into wrestling, you started to sort of learn more about the business. What is because there's some of the stuff, like the wrestling, unwritten rule.
Yeah.
Like it's like a lot of it's fucking ridiculous, right? What is the
From the I mean, not saying it's the most ridiculous, but even the handshake thing, I believe in a handshake, brother. I believe in a firm handshake that my father taught me that you give to other men to let you know, hey, I'm a man, what's up? And then I found out, if you grab it too hard, then it's all about softness or whatever, because then you're stiff in the work or whatever, and so people are giving different types of handshakes, so I let it go. I've seen it come to now. Now, first of all, the people who, unless you're a guy like Billy Gunn, QT Marshall, the people who do get off their rocker for not getting their hand shook, those people should take, we'll call it a chill pill, but or a reality check. And then other than that, the fact that like you go to these shows and people don't, when it is handshake time and it's part of the game, so they're like, oh, I got to go shake everybody's hand, and they just fucking run through it, and you don't look me in the eyes when you come to shake me in the hand. Get the fuck out of here. I now hate you because you just think you can fly just because it's a part. I think back in the day, like most things from back in the day, it was put there as a sign of respect, get everybody on the same level, and it just doesn't mean as much anymore. And I think there's so much, not only in just wrestling, football, sports in general, life, that just doesn't mean as much anymore because we don't take things to heart as much as we did in the heyday. Now, is that because, how something made you feel to get over something, whatever. I just think if you're going to do something, mean it. And that's something I've always been about, other than when I'm shooting shit, sarcasm, Brody and down with the Brodies, when I say something, I mean it. Just like when I said, I'll be back. I'm back, baby. We ain't left. And it's only getting better from here, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Hopefully, I can, go get Aussie with you, go get down under.
Let's go, bro. You know what? The handshake thing is funny, and I love seeing it shows when you see like young wrestlers coming in there, like, oh shit, oh I'm so sorry, I didn't shake this.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like, oh shit, and I'm like I walk in, and I'll be like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Cool. We had
you think I want my body in that anxiety balls hands? What the fuck are we doing? And that's another thing. I think there's so much anxiety and nervousness that I even felt when I did it that's created through this, when it's just like, listen, what we do is not a joke, and stuff hurts, but it shouldn't injure you. Now the injuries do happen, but Brody, not to pull the curtain back, we're going out there and we're fake fighting. Now I guess this can be for some of the newer guys getting in and people who are nervous about it, but it's just like, take it slow. Let's be a team. Let's put on a show. Let's know what we're doing. And it's just, sometimes I feel like that gets forgotten. Sometimes I feel like people drink their own Kool-Aid. Sometimes I feel like people go in the business for themselves. And sometimes I think people are just too nervous.
Yeah. I mean, like you would definitely probably see that like in like, especially like I can imagine the NXT sort of thing where you've got people that are just getting these opportunities to come onto TV. It's like they're sort of like just at that cusp of like reaching a certain level of success, and then it's the nerves kick in and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
And then I think that's a big thing. Like with people who have been there before. Like when there's a guy who's nervous like that, just chill him out. Because I think the mental aspect of this game is the biggest part. You got to keep your brain in it, so you got to know everything that's going on, and the more confidence and stuff like that you can build somebody up and set them up for success. Now, that's the thing, Brody. I think some people, there are probably some people that had that and some people that didn't, or some people. Yeah. It's just, I think it all came with the business. And I think hopefully everything happens for a reason. I'm so glad, how it's all panned out. And I couldn't be more glad to be with the people I am now. Like I said, Billy Gunn, QT Marshall, Luke Sampson, the Nightmare Factory. I mean, I've gotten to meet Cody a couple of times. It's not like, he's in there once a week, though. Talk about the WWE champion, dude on top of a mountain, and he's still able to make it into his school once a week. What a stud, dude. And that's the thing. They talk about it. They go, do the work. QT Marshall, who I have almost goosebumps, and I guess, you think he's my coach, but I'd say this if I just met the guy, just knowing his story. And then Billy Gunn, I don't ever have to speak for Billy Gunn. Daddy ass, come on. But like, they're about the work, man. And that's what I've always been about. Like, I've had I talk about Pops, Hall of Fame high school baseball coach, football coach, all throughout my life growing up. He's hard nosed. He's 1980s. He's do the work, and that's how I was brought up. And when I was at the PC, I was busting my ass. Now I wasn't doing everything right because I didn't know. I didn't know, Brodies. I would never try to, or I was nervous or if something didn't go, going blank, just all these things. But now being with those guys, that's what they're about, dude. When I came in here, QT said, hey, love to, not even love to have you. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad sense, but like, if you want to come down here, we just expect you to come here and work hard when you're here and, don't cause any problems, all that type of stuff. Keep it as clean as, when you come in. And they've got a state-of-the-art gym, 2 rings, 2 20-foot rings, and practice on Monday and Thursdays, like I said, the camp throughout the day. And that was it. And then come in, and then he'd critique me when I wrestled and whatnot. And Billy, the same thing. It was about 2 weeks till I got Billy to even look in my direction. You know what I mean? Really? And it was an earn respect thing when you get through the door. The only way you're going to earn that respect is if you're here putting in the work. Well, brother, I didn't move down to Atlanta, Georgia, and leave my family, leave all my friends, leave everything I have to come down here just to bullshit and waste time. So I've been in there every day, busting my ass. My body speaks for itself now, the improvements we've made there. My wrestling speaks for itself with the improvements we've made there. And that's the only reason we were able to make a relationship is because I had to earn respect because that's how it's done. That's another thing I almost get hot about is, I earned respect through working hard. I'm in there every day, either in the ring or in the gym or both or doing 2 times a day because there was a thought when I got done that, I wasn't reaching my full potential. That was a phrase that was used when I was released. Not a day goes by that I don't exert myself for my full potential. Every single day I'm looking to get better. And I guess that sounds like such a David Goggins, this, that, and the other thing. If I don't do that in the day, you don't want to eat as much. I just don't feel good, man. The ways that I feel better as an excitable, energized, up-tempo guy is I got to do things that wear me out, and that's going in there and lifting. I like, and it calms me down, keeps me chilled, cooking, doing things that like keep me busy. And wrestling and the gym are always doing that for me. So, yeah, man, I had to earn respect from them through just showing up, and thank God I did, and we're still working hard to this day. So they're going to make a pro wrestler out of me here soon, hopefully,
So when WWE released you, like, did they go into detail of why? Like you weren't reaching your own potential, but like, where were you not?
So basically, it was a phone call. I got it on a Monday night. Monday Night Football. Browns Bengals were playing. Your boy had a nice little parlay. Ended up winning that parlay. But got a phone call from Stamford, Connecticut as the game was kicking off. Picked it up. I guess I'm just going through it like it's PTSD because that's how I remember it, man. Picked up the phone and Trent Wilfinger got a hold of me, and he was the guy who took this place of Canyon Seaman, who actually hired me from my tryout. So in all seriousness, other than when he'd see me at the PC, probably when I was being a goofball, he didn't know me from Adam. He didn't know I out of all the Olympians and ex-pro athletes and studs that we got in the PC, and I'm talking, it don't matter height, weight, and all that stuff. Your boy Book got 3rd on the conditioning test. You know what I mean? And that's top 3. And I guess if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby, shout me out. But I'd give that a shake to some ex-Division I linebacker who was too slow to cover and had 7 surgeries. So, fuck. I'm doing it again.
WWE release what they would.
Yeah, so I picked up the phone. He said, "Hey man, how are you? Good. About to watch the football game." He let me know that things weren't working out, and if I didn't ask why, I think that would have been the end of the phone call, and that would have been about 15 seconds. I said, "Why do you think that?" I feel we've been on TV for a year straight. And he told me that it was believed by the head coach that I wasn't reaching my full potential. So once I realized that was a conversation, I need to figure my life out. So that's what I've been doing ever since that day, and I think we're on the right track, man. Like I said, once I got right for that little 6 month there, went back to the people who love me and just, a safe space where I can just put my nose to the grindstone. Once again, thank God. Thank God. I mean, not even just QT and Billy and Luke, but you even got Carolyn at the gym, Billy's wife, Paula, who's helped me out with from paperwork to all the mom stuff. I mean, it's a true community and a true family down here at the Nightmare Factory. But the only way you're going to get that is if you show up every day and you do the work. They had a sign in there, do the work. Cody Rhodes left WWE, started a whole new company, became the top guy in that company, only to go back and be the biggest name in wrestling. Do the work. QT Marshall, who was a nobody kid in the middle of Jersey, who fucking broke his neck, had to rebuild himself. Everyone told him he couldn't do it. As one of the most successful schools, I'd say, in the world, and is now one of the heads of AEW. And then you got Billy Gunn, who I guess they had him stop beating up horses, when he was 16, and then he just started beating up people. Yeah, dude.
I feel like Billy Gunn would be a pretty cool guy to have a beer with and just sort of like.
Billy Gunn, to me, is one of the coolest human beings I've ever seen. Hopefully, he doesn't even see this because he thinks I'm kissing his ass. But dude, he's lived so many different lives. You know what I mean? And they're awesome lives. He was just a country boy, ranch hand. Then he was I'd say in the early days of WWF, just running the road when he was trying to learn how to wrestle. I guess that would be like NXT and stuff like that. When he told me he probably looked like me from my day. Now, I bet he never looked that bad. But, he did that. And then he became this huge star with DX and it blew up. I mean, even with his tag partner before that, I'm thinking of their name.
Road Dogg.
Anyways, DX was allowed Billy to become Billy and then become Daddy Ass. And from that point on, dude, he then became a coach, after being a superstar, after being this larger than life rock star. He had to come down, back to being a father, a coach, and all these things, working with the PC and now working with AEW and coaching guys like us and stuff. So he's gotten to live so many different lives from wild rock star to now awesome father figure to humble ranch hand. So that dude is as real as it gets. There's no disconnect there. He wasn't spoon-fed once in his life. And those are the people I appreciate because, in all seriousness, I'm a kid from LaSalle, Illinois. You never heard of it. It's 90 miles southwest of Chicago on the canal. Al Capone used to go there to run from the cops because it was such a shit nowhere place that they couldn't even find him. So I'm grateful to even have some of the opportunities I've had up to this point. So the fact that I can say that I even know these guys, I'm honored and blessed.
Man, that's crazy, bro. You mentioned AEW a couple of times. Is AEW a place that you want to go? Is WWE, is that still on the cards where you want to go back to where's your head at when it comes to this?
The same question I always thought of when I played ball. And when, there was a time before surgeries where I had plenty of offers coming in. I was a Big Ten commit, University of Illinois, but it's go where you're wanted, and although I can be business, although I can shake hands and keep it business, I wouldn't prefer that. I prefer to be myself and to be a little bit more open and to feel even more comfortable because when I'm on, I don't know if it stems from, just a personality, but you may see me and hear me, oh, he's probably a big people's person. And don't get me wrong, Brody, when we're working and I'm hired, I'm the biggest people person ever. But when Brady Booker's just walking the streets, I like to be Brady with the people I like. If I don't know you and everything like that, there's a distance there, and it's there just to protect me. And because now that I've learned, you can't always be that because it'll just be taken different ways. So losing a tangent again. How many times is this? 4 or 5? I got to stop taping bumps.
I think it's 7 or 8.
Oh my God, brother. Oh my God. Hopefully there's a cutout button for those.
100%. No, but yeah. So you were saying, basically the person that you get and being the outlet, like the
Yeah, it's not all the time. It's really not all the time, and it's just I like to entertain and I like to have fun, but only with the people that I know want to have fun with me, and there's no exterior or anything for it.
Have
I
you
just
ever
want
had
I want Brodies who want to be Brodies.
Have you ever had any like weird or like strange fan like approaches like in public places?
Um, no, yes. There was one. There was
Yeah.
okay, and I don't say this because it's not like I have a crazy amount of fans or people are running me down and whatnot. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there was one time. So like your boy, he likes to stay hydrated. I've had some problems cramping and whatnot. I got caught at a show. The bathroom was in like where the people were. I went and was using the bathroom, and I got walked up on in the stall.
No.
And I think brother wasn't 100% aware of his surroundings, if you know what I'm saying. And I don't think he ever is. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
I just kind of okay, and then turned around and gave it the signature on my one of those Chase U cards, and yeah, that was that. I think I
Oh.
kept one hand down and the other hand going.
That is nuts, bro.
I said, put the card on your back, and I signed it while I was pissing.
That is fucking nuts, bro. That is fucking wild.
I'm a Brody dog. I'm a Brody.
Imagine if he just walks out and he goes, dude, I even see that guy from Chase U's clock while I got an autograph. Like,
Hey, I'll tell you this, bro. I'm not embarrassed at anything we got. I do thank God every day for, and my parents for the genetics that they passed down to me.
hey, amen, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Amen,
Yes, sir.
brother. Yeah, man. I feel like, with the wrestling business as well, man, like for someone like you, it has got this, over the top personality, man. Like, I feel like this is a kind of a business that was really built for someone like you, man.
Dude, as I get more and more into it, and let me tell you about this because it's always in there. Man, I love ball. And my favorite part of football was not the plays, the atmosphere, the this, that, and the other thing. My favorite part was when, and I guess it sounds barbaric, but this is where I grew up. When you got to take someone's absolute head off, and there was that rush. I mean, special teams, especially back when they used to have the wedge, and you just no regard for yourself or others, just full bore, helmet to helmet, try to clean someone's. I want to knock him out. I want to separate his head from his body, and he can try to do the same thing to me. Let's just go down there and see what happens. As fast as you can run, as hard as you can hit, and being able to do that, it's like hitting the ball off a sweet spot, dude. It does something to me. And there was a time in there when I was first getting started, we did like tackle, drop down into a flying shoulder tackle. So it was almost like a tackle where you can get that feeling. I came up and I roared, man, and it got those juices flowing again. And then the way I can have fun, but then also flip that switch into the intensity and make the intensity fun. I think that's a big part of who I am. I felt at home, man. And that's maybe I got a little comfortable because I thought, I was getting into it more as WWE, and I just was maybe looked too lax, maybe didn't look as hungry. But a day doesn't go by. I'm as hungry as I was day one with a smile on my face. And I think at the Nightmare Factory, and it wasn't to the WWE's fault. I think people, knew who I was to an extent, but like they were changing people, and people who make decisions like that, you don't get FaceTime with them, and people who do, it's probably not the guy who has absolutely no connections and no one looking out for him and whatnot. Is that at the Nightmare Factory, because I was there so often, because we started traveling to shows together, QT, Billy, Luke, they got to know me, and just seeing the work that I put in every day and how I am on a day-to-day basis, like, thank God they took a liking to me. I try to be, like I said, do good on others and good will be done to you. I try to be the best guy I can be every day. Try to keep it light, try to keep it fun, and give the absolute best effort I can. Just like in football, I was never a first rep is perfect guy. So unfortunately for Billy Gunn, sometimes I got to run through the spot 2 or 3 times. But brother, by the end of that 2 or 3 times, I promise you're going to be entertained. And I don't know if you watch much of my stuff, but thank God for Billy Gunn once again. The Get 'em Choppins, I did them on NXT a couple of times. They actually, whatever, I'll say it. They got to live by it. They cut those out. They said they were too hokey. Yeah. I don't know. Hey, man, maybe they wanted Billy Badass or something. That was another thing. Just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it for you, brother. But I guess I didn't understand the game enough. Maybe it wouldn't have been that easy. Who knows? But they cut those out.
Do you think the expectation was a bit too high?
I don't know what the expectation is. You know what I mean? At first, no, that's the thing is I didn't know what the expectation was, and no one was that clear about it. And coming from a high-level athlete who's taken coaching his entire life, I mean, from the time I was fucking 5, I'm in the backyard with my baseball bat standing on a deck board. Like, I can take coaching. Like I said, I'm not the first rep perfect guy, and I've never been that guy. But, man, once I get it down, because I work so hard, because of the intensity and the effort that I'm going to put in, brother, we're going to make it happen. And that's where I had a come to, I don't know, myself moment where I was like, dude, are you not coachable? Are you not this? Are you not that? So that's why I had to go figure it out. And don't get me wrong, I dealt with some bumps and bruises while I was there too. But I don't know, man, if there was just talk to me like an athlete. I guess, they deal with wrestlers and there's a disconnect there as well. But QT and Billy and Luke, they do it so well. They put it into so many terms. It's so easy. The way that they coach, there's drills I'm doing here that have made me so much better that I never did at NXT. My wrestling experience at the Nightmare Factory has been fantastic, and that's all thanks to QT, Billy, and Luke. I wouldn't know how to wrestle or be involved in this game without those guys. Like, man, I can't get over how thankful I am.
So it's pretty much like the Nightmare Factory giving you a second shot in this bit.
Exactly. And all I had to do was do the work.
Yeah. How did you with the WWE and the coaching aspect of it, I find it surprising because it's like they have so many people come from athletic backgrounds like yourself, coming from like different sports and stuff like that, where people have been so coachable. Is it a little bit like it is in disarray at times?
I just think that there's so many high-level athletes from so many different divisions of athletics that they all have been coached different. I can promise you that the 3 defensive coordinators I have are all different, and they all spoke to me differently, and they all explained things differently. Well, I bet those 3 defensive coordinators are the moon to that pole vaulter over there, and then I bet that pole vaulter's head coach is freaking Jupiter to the Roman Greco-Olympian guy sitting over there. Like, what are we talking about? And then you got a guy, no disrespect, who's fantastic at pro wrestling, but has nealt with a pole vaulter of an amateur Olympian wrestler or a Division I football player or a pro football player for that matter. You know what I mean? It's just there's so many different, and unfortunately, just as wrestlers do, coaches have egos as well. So you don't want to step on anything like that. And then if you don't know the rules of the game, depending on which coach it is and whatnot, and how they verbalize and vocalize when they're upset, and like things get misconstrued and people get rubbed the wrong way, and then some people don't know if they're rubbing people the wrong way. And I've come up in a very upfront, my family. There's times where me and my family may have disagreements and whatnot, and this may sound surprising, but like I'm no filter with my family. I'll let them know exactly how I feel. I have to sugarcoat it for, buddy coming up to the front desk so I don't hurt his feelings and he reports me. But there's a certain level of trust that you have with people that are close to you that you can just cut off that filter. And I just feel like there should be that, because we're your athlete, you're our coach. But with cancel culture, with all those things, with it being such a selfish business, people are looking out for their own ass. And you got a coach looking out for and I don't know if they are, but it's just like, you shouldn't be afraid to say anything. I'll never forget, my pops, I might have been 8 years old. We're doing something. He's breaking down how I'm throwing, and I'm not saying he's doing it like a over the top, all-star coach, jackass. But like he's coaching me as he would coach one of his high school players, and you just taking coaching. Like you can tell somebody that it's bad, this, that, and the other thing. I felt like there was just a lot of not that. I felt like coming through the back curtain, you get handshakes and high fives, and no one's really telling you what's going on. I'd come through the back curtain, Brody, and have no idea if I did good or bad. I'd ask Chase. He'd always say, dude, you like, for how long you're in, you're doing fantastic. I couldn't have you know what I mean? But like, there's that for how long you're in. You know what I'm, we're at WWE NXT. I need to be WWE NXT. I need the coaching to get there. And I just feel like maybe I'm wrong. I couldn't be if I got let go though, because I didn't have that many bad talks. Is that just pull me aside, and when something's wrong, help me figure it out.
Yeah. What did you think of the report that, because I remember seeing a report saying that one of the reasons that you were released, and I remember saying that you weren't reaching your potential. I saw that, but I also saw that they said that you were turning up late for meetings and for training sessions and stuff like that. You know, can you address that?
I'd love to, Brody. That's something I've never been about. I am a Lombardi time guy just because, like I said, since I was damn near 8, you know, that's stuff we were doing. Now, the one time I was late, I had a flat tire, the nail stuck in my tire, and I drove on that flat, refilled that flat, drove. I was 45 minutes late. I refilled the flat twice, on the way there, on the way back. Another time I not separated. I had 3 bulging discs in my lower back from my L3, L4, L5, S1. And I was told by our medical staff not to go because I was writhing in pain, Brody. I was out for a good amount of time, which that probably doesn't help anything either. You're not getting any better while you're sitting on the sidelines, but it is what it is. I was going to rehab. I was always in there, you know. And there was a miscommunication from the coaching staff to the medical staff, and then it just, oh, you missed. And then I can't explain, and I'm not trying to make an explanation. I'm not trying to talk back. Brother, I'm the king of yes, coach. But that's what happened. And that's all it was. And it was bothersome that it was looked at that way. Another thing I've realized in this business is, you know, since those 2 instances were so close together, and me dealing with the injury and not being able to wrestle to show I'm still worth something, people, all the world falls on you that day, you know, because let's say those 2 instances are close. First of all, I don't believe they were my fault. I got that tire fixed on that Monday. Well, there was an extra training session Monday while I was getting my tire fixed. I went after practice. I just wanted to go before the place closed, but that was also a bad call on my part. My bad. I wanted to be able to drive home that day because this was my 3rd day driving on a tire, and I didn't drive that nice of a car. Tire on a nail. There we go. Speak, Brady. But yeah, those were the instances of me showing up late. I'm not showing up late to meetings. I'm not showing up late to practice. There were times that like optional that you like didn't know, and I guess coming from athletics, nothing is optional. But then I see how Chase reacts and stuff like that. So then I think to myself, like, well, we're part of the same group. Do I go? You know what I mean? Do I make him look bad if I'm not going? There's just so much that I didn't understand. There was an instance where I didn't go and we weren't booked, and I didn't. No one else in our group was going. Chase and me weren't on the same type of expectations. So, and that's something I didn't know. But once I learned those expectations, I did it. I mean, after we had that little talk, I was at everything earlier than anyone. I was at TV first every time. But I guess it was a little too late.
Damn, man.
Yeah, that really bothered me a ton because I don't think you could, now that Julius is gone, Jacob, I don't think you could pick 3 names out of a hat that work harder than your boy Book in that entire building. But, you know, that's not my place to say. I don't know if you could pick out of any company. You know what I mean? I don't know if I could be as good as anybody, but, man, I could put that nose to the grindstone.
Yeah. I mean, putting the in the work, anyone can, you know what I mean? Like, that's the possibility of being able to get there, man. But it just sounds like, you know, in the wrestling business, man, like from what I understand of it, there's, you know what I mean, people will find any excuse or reason. And if you get heat with the wrong person, we're gonna find a way just to fucking crush you down.
Listen, brother, I'm 6'3". I got 8 abs and I'm 240 pounds. I guess I'd hate me too. And I'm fun and can get the people excited. I mean, dude, you're at a disadvantage. You better bring it to play, because when I open my mouth and they see the pretty whites, dog, I can't keep it closed. I mean, man, I get fired up sometimes, But I get it. And now that I understand the business, I think things like that will never happen again. And I believe that, thank God I've come into this thought of everything happens for a reason. I needed to get released from WWE because I needed to go to WWE to realize how high the echelon of wrestling is. I needed to see what professionalism was from all these guys, how they do it, how it's done in the ring, the level it needs to be, the facilities, how people handle themselves, all that type of stuff. I needed to be released to not only see if I can still put it in, but if I really want to do wrestling. There was the talk, he's just a football player athlete. Is he going to? I want to do wrestling. And then I get to QT, Billy, and Luke, to where I gain this immense amount of knowledge. And not only do I gain this immense amount of knowledge, I gain relationships that I wouldn't trade for for any dollar amount. And I don't think I could be any better set up now than I would have been just staying in NXT. I think I am the best version of Brady Booker, the pro wrestler, right now than I could have ever been staying there. And I don't mean that I need to leave or it was bad there. No. I just believe that everything has happened for a reason. Right now, I feel good about it.
Well, certain coaches work better for certain players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe it helps, maybe it helps that, we got a smaller group on occasion and they can, one-on-one more. But thinking about how we held classes and stuff like that, it's a pretty similar setting. It's a coach, a ring, and his group of athletes, because all those athletes would be broken down into groups, subsections. But then I don't. It's not like I blame Steve Carino. You know what I mean? He's dealing with me, who barely knows what he's doing, and he's dealing with Mr. Chase, who's done this for 17 years. So I would have trouble putting a practice plan together from that. I think a lot of this in the way of athletics, and I look at this, we're doing the camp the other day and they're running through their matches for the first time. And you think about it, when they're coaching, it's like they're coaching kindergartners. And I don't mean that in a bad sense, but it's the first time you're doing something, man. You're not thinking any of this stuff. But then that guy who coaches kindergartners is also going to coach the Division I athletes. So
right? Yeah.
I don't know how you have the patience, brother. You know what I mean? So
Stiff drink after every session.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a hell of an individual with knowledge and one that really cares. And I say this, because Billy's doing his thing. He's still an athlete. He's still pro wrestling. Luke still does his pro, and I guess QT does as well. But just knowing as an aspect, it's QT's building, he runs the school, everybody's involved, but QT I just think it's so well done. And I that was something I thought about that always kind of haunted me, me not getting good enough in the wrestling aspect to stay at WWE. It's always the training. What could I have done? And he's made me feel so good about it. And it's not because he pats my ass. He just makes you do the drill. You know what I mean? He just gives you that opportunity. And all I've ever wanted is just opportunities, man, because I'm going to make the most out of them. And it may not, thinking back to matches, I may mess up that spot, but I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to stay involved in the match. I'm going to be so overzealous, entertaining, whatever we got to do to when that time comes for entertainment, that spot won't matter. And I just think, until I'm top notch where I need to be, QT's been doing it for fucking, I guess he's been doing it for fucking 20 plus. Billy, those guys, I'll never be as good as them until I'm that age, but man, it would be cool to be that good. But until then, I'm going to keep being as entertaining and giving my effort.
It's about putting in the work, man, and getting there. And it definitely sounds like that you're grinding out, bro, putting that work in, man. So
and of course, I'm looking for other opportunities to help myself out. And you brought up that question about going back to WWE or AEW and whatnot. Like I said, I'm just thinking about going where I'm needed, and I think that time will come. Yeah, it's just been a lot of nose to the grindstone. But although it's a lot of waiting, it teaches me patience. That's what my day and age struggles with nowadays. I couldn't be happier about the whole situation. TCW as well. Give a little shout out there. We're getting ready to pop off. If you've heard about that,
Yeah.
TCW. Yeah, that was Dusty's promotion that he had down here, and they're getting it started again. And I'm excited to be a part. Like, thank God I'm able to be a part of that. Getting to meet guys like Glacier and Scotty Riggs.
Oh man, that's the thing, and that's the thing. That's where you like hear some stories about the business from back in that wild era of the sort of Wild West sort of era of professional wrestling.
That's what I wanted to get involved in. The rock stars, Brody. They were rock stars. Billy Gunn, DX, rock stars, and larger than life characters. But that's what made them so big, is because they were that. They weren't acting. They weren't playing. They were that. Now things happen to where hopefully we keep our feet on the ground. Because when we start to float, shit happens. But I don't feel that as much anymore. Me personally. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm this, that, and the other thing. There's not as much rock star, and brother, I want it back so bad. And I'd say that was one of my problems, is when I got to WWE, I thought we still kind of, I thought we were still a little rock star.
That shit's changed, brother.
Are you kidding me? Well, I'll never forget this. We're lifting or whatever, and they come up to me and they go, "Hey, we got a wellness policy." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Oh, no shit.
Well, they're like, well, so many people thought I was juicing. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, no, I get it. And thank God the THC has been passed. They allow that. But they're like, and I mean this in just jokes, but my response was, "Oh, Brody, if I was going to fail the drug test, I'd do something a lot more fun than steroids." What are you talking about?
Oh man, on the Colombian nose beers.
Yeah. I mean, if a killer like Craig Jones is pounding out nose beers, I mean, I just got to figure out what it takes to be a killer,
Right, exactly. But bro, man, before we sort of wrap up here, man, like, where can everyone find you on social media and sort of follow you and get behind you, man? Because I feel like this has been a really fun conversation, man. I feel like a lot of my audience is going to be like really into this.
I appreciate that, brother. That was one of my, after seeing this opportunity to do this, I've always been trying to get to Aussie land. I've always been trying to get down under. Kangaroo Jack, come on, brother. But Instagram, Twitter, at Brady Booker _. I could be better about my social media. I got a TikTok. I'm never on there, Brodies. I'll like use TikTok to try to like make videos to put on. Dude, I am technologically challenged as a 24-year-old kid. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen this way. But I spent too much time out, in the weight room on the field and messing with, my electronics. I don't even have a game system right now, Brody. I got to get on that level. I got to go get a PS5 or something. I'm lame.
Dude, you know what? Since I had kids, like I have an Xbox One that I haven't played in 8 years.
Dude, when you just said like that whole like, like I haven't done this, and once I had kids, I mean that just makes me think about how my life will change, Brody. I can barely take care of myself. Yeah. You're right.
Like when I was 24, bro, I was like, I can't.
Brody's, it's in there. Brody's.
Exactly, bro. We knew how to get it. We knew how to get it loose, get it lit, get it fucking.
Exact. And at the end of the day, what the hell else are we doing here? We all want to come out, and me especially. We all want to make our imprint on the world. Do the best we can. But brother, you gotta have some fun doing it because life kind of sucks, man. So that's what I try to do, and that's why wrestling. It was hard to remember everybody's name because they had 11 different names, and I could barely remember my own. I thought Brody'd be gender neutral, and it's positive. Everybody's my Brody, and that's kind of what I've rolled with to this point. And that's I address them as Brodies until they give me a reason not to.
100%.
And you, my friend, are a Brody.
Hey, bro, right back at you, Brody. But, guys, man, this has been a great conversation. We definitely going to do a part 2 later on down the track, man, if you're down for it. But this is True Story, greatest podcast in the world. Man, I appreciate you being on, brother. I really do.
No, I can't wait till part 2.
Hey, let's get it done. Till then, take care. All the best. Mwah. Peace out, you bitch-ass motherfuckers.
And I was like,
I like the
really?
bitch ass moment.